I love the idea of America. It is a profoundly revolutionary idea that forever changed the serfdom and servitude of man. The concept that rights of humans are divinely bestowed and that people are not beholden to the powerful changed the trajectory of humanity from a backwater species to one that has advanced communication, capability, and prosperity. I love Thomas Jefferson and the history of the Revolution. I find inspiration in that era's powerful thinking and writing. It was the perfect culmination of enlightened thought and individualism. Created on a continent that by its own nature fell outside the management of the powerful, the American experiment was birthed in the perfect recipe of autonomy and necessity. The people that created the Republic were isolated from the overseers of Great Britain and forced into the creation of their own commerce and goods simply by their distance. They forged, in the fire of hard work, a society that understood that life in a liberty-centered existence could flourish, and that governmental management was contradictory to economic and political expansion. They understood that the market would produce the products most efficient and necessary, and that the individual's own reputation and integrity was the governing agency most effective in a free society. This domestic tranquility lasted and prospered until the end of the Second World War. The powerful yet adolescent people were unleashed upon the world stage as a superpower, but the moment was too large for their youth. The moral mantle that was placed upon them by the world, that was earned by the goodwill of the post-war era, and the bright vision that radiated from a free people, was like an ill-fitting, oversized suit. This power that was reluctantly assigned had a dark side, filled with temptation and allure, that beckoned like a siren song to the forces of human nature intent on control and authority. The more that the world looked to the United States for moral leadership, the more the powerful saw an avenue to wealth and control. The military could do no wrong in the eyes of the people or the politicians, and their budgets grew, their influence on Washington policy became more entrenched, and their rise above the law was treated as an inherent right. They meddled all around the world in places like Iran and the Philippines, France, and Indochina. The more they tinkered, the more out of control the balance became. Politicians stood up to try to wrest back control, but they were silenced, banished, and murdered so that the machine could keep running. By the time they stood up, the deed had been done and it was too late. The more that people spoke out against the wars, the more they were relegated to the fringe, dismissed as unsafe and unthoughtful people who would careen the world to nuclear destruction if the military surveillance state were not given free rein to handle the bad guys. And then one day, after enough time had passed, we woke up and looked around, and the cancer that we thought we had under control was perpetual. It had eaten the soul of liberty and left us with only fading memories of that once hardy country. Since 2001, the United States has been in perpetual war. The surveillance institutions are permanent barnacles upon the hull of our being. We look nothing like the land that people flock to for autonomy and freedom. We have become the very thing that we started our journey in revolt of. We are the dehumanizing web of authority, making claim to everything that moves in the name of control. We have replaced one king 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants in our backyard bureaucracies. We have become a meddling bully, so self-assured of our actions and so self-aggrandized by our total power that we are the ones that the people around the world rise up in rebellion against. We produce little that doesn't support the military. Our once robust economy is relegated to idea trading and fake fiat currency exchanges that pick winners and losers based upon their connections and willingness to bow at the altar of the system. We place ourselves at the center of everything, and we take positions only in the interest of war and power. We have become the bad guys. Our authority is lost, and our place of goodness in this world has been banished to the ash heap of destructive empires. Our end is very near as the world looks to others who are willing to build places up instead of bomb them into oblivion. The people of this world are looking for peaceful commerce and sharing it in the idea of reciprocal relationships. We have somehow convinced ourselves that it is by force that peace will come. We built the Pax Americana that holds our power only by the grip of fear and not by the goodness of a liberty-minded citizenry. We can do better, but our time is running short. run-of-the-mill puppet politicians are all dedicated to the same adventure towards war and money. In this election cycle, there are people saying there needs to be a different way. Robert Kennedy, Vivek Ramaswamy, and precious few others are asking the real question that America needs to answer. Is this the kind of world we want? Is this superhero narrative of the United States really providing the world with the kind of leadership a precarious world needs? Is force the only option for the United States in our diplomatic endeavors? Every alliance the United States has needs assessment. Every treaty needs to be understood and valued for its contribution to a peaceful world. I want more for this nation. I want to wake up one day and be proud again of what we are, of this idea of America, of liberty and freedom. I want my children in their old age to remember that this was the time we altered the course, the moment in our history where we were honest with ourselves and moved towards humility and stopped relying on a fading, thin veneer of what once was.